PornHub is the largest, most mainstream porn company in the world. It's owned by a parent company called Geek. And Geek is now being sued into oblivion, and this is a really good thing. The parent company of PornHub is being sued by a minor child's mother because this porn website allegedly allowed the dissemination of videos and images of her little son being sexually molested by an Alabama man. This is despite warnings from the authorities to PornHub. PornHub still allowed this video to go out there. And so it's so sick, it's so nauseating to think that this is out there, that it's legal. I think it's of kind of dubious legality that PornHub is even allowed to exist, but it's tolerated at least by the law enforcement authorities, and that it's making a lot of money. That's awful. And so conservatives need to support this being shut down any way that we can. They were dealt a tough blow some months ago when credit card companies stopped doing business with MindGeek because of these kind of allegations of child pornography. And the more libertarian-minded conservatives, a lot of them said, no, it's absolutely, we need to defend PornHub's right to spread filth around the world and addict little kids to pornography. But the conservatives said, okay, good, shut it down. Shut it down. What percentage of my mailbag is young men writing into me saying they've got sex problems because they were exposed to porn when they were kids? A large percentage of it. When people come up to me at colleges and universities, that's often a problem that they will bring up. It's just awful. It's awful, obviously, for the people being abused in the movies. It's awful for the people who are being addicted to the smut. It's awful for society that we're tolerating this at all. And for what? For the right of these perverts to exploit little children to make an extra buck? There's no right to that. You don't have a right to that at all. There is a lot more wrong with PornHub than the fact that there's child pornography on it. There's a lot more in addition to that is wrong. But if the child porn thing is what's going to take them down, fine by me. Use whatever we can do. Horrible, terrifying news coming out of Canada. And Canada is usually at the avant-garde here. America's top hat is usually just a few steps ahead of where we are headed. So you got to be prepared for this to come to the United States. We got to fight it tooth and nail. Canada is now encouraging mentally ill people to kill themselves. Canada has just passed an assisted suicide right. The Canadian Supreme Court discovered some right to kill yourself. Of course, there is no right to kill yourself because there's no right to do wrong, and killing oneself is a grave, grave sin and a violation of the law of self-preservation, and it's just absolutely no bueno. But one of the arguments against assisted suicide, even the softest arguments for it, well, what if someone is in intense pain and they've got a fatal illness, terminal illness that they're certainly going to die from very soon? Don't you think it's all right to just kind of up the drugs and kill them? And I don't think that that's right at all. But that argument works on a lot of people. Then one of the arguments against that is, well, it's a slippery slope. It's a very slippery slope, and pretty soon it's not just going to be those terminally ill cancer patients on the brink of death in intense pain who are opting for doctor-assisted suicide. Pretty soon it's going to be people who are younger, who are a little healthier, who are depressed, who have mental illness, who are poor. And now you're seeing this play out right now in Canada.
Are you afraid to die?
Who isn't? Yeah,
Amir Farsood has applied for medically assisted dying, known as MAID. He lives in constant agony due to a back injury, but has started the process for end of life because his rooming house is up for sale and he can't find anywhere else to live that he can afford. He barely survives on Ontario disability support payments, which are just over $1,200 a month. He doesn't want to die, but being homeless is not an option.
I know in my present health condition I wouldn't survive it anyway.
Farsood meets the criteria for MAID: physical suffering due to disability that cannot be relieved. His doctor, who knows Farsood's real reason for MAID is his fear of being homeless, signed off on the application in August. Farsood needs a second to do the same. There's a 90-day waiting period. He believes he could potentially access MAID in about a month.
I don't wish to be dead. Even with the pain, even with the meds, I still want to be here.
Only the most evil society would tolerate this and encourage this. I mean, this is as evil as it gets. We talk about the Nazis, we invoke the Nazis in every single historical comparison that anyone makes because they don't have any historical frame of reference. Telling our most vulnerable people, killing off our most vulnerable people, that is whatever you accuse the Nazis of, that is it. That is it. We are the baddies if we do that. We are as bad as it can possibly get if we do this. We're already pretty bad. We kill 850,000 babies a year here in the United States. And then on top of that, we're going to kill our elderly, our poor elderly. If you've ever had an aging relative, you know that when it comes to later stages of life, people feel they're a burden on their families. People feel there's a big cost. They need to be taken care of a lot more. They get depressed. I'm sure if this were an option, many, many people, out of a feeling of despair and guilt for putting their family through some difficulty, would take this. It's not as though if you legalize MAID, that's the new euphemism they're calling it. It's just assisted suicide, which is just suicide. It's suicide, but it's even more evil because it's got the complicity of the public health establishment, complete violation of the Hippocratic Oath and of sort of basic tenets of good political communities. If you legalize this stuff, it's not that you're just going to get a few fringe cases of people who are really thinking rationally and who just really have made a calculated, serious decision to kill themselves. It's going to spread like wildfire. It's going to be every old granny who feels that she's just a burden to her family. She's going to do it. She's going to feel pressured to do it. Every mentally ill person in a fit of insanity is going to do it. Every poor person who doesn't want to live on the street but can't afford to make ends meet is going to do it. Every depressed person, teenagers, children are doing this right now in Europe, in the Netherlands, Belgium. It's going to spread like wildfire. And it is the most evil thing I can think of, this sort of thing. And the fact that you heard that doctor signed off on it, the doctor knew that the man, no doctor should sign off on this ever. If a doctor signs off on assisted suicide, he should have his license revoked. He's violated the Hippocratic Oath. But the doctor knows that this guy's just killing himself because he fears poverty and homelessness. And instead of saying, hey, I'm going to refer you to this agency that's going to find you a home. Instead of saying, hey, here's a check. I'm a doctor. I make a decent amount of money. Actually, with Canada's socialist healthcare, probably not. But at least someone's saying, hey, here, I don't have much, but here's what money I can give you. Hey, don't kill yourself. Here's money to pay rent. Instead of doing that like a decent human being would do, he says, okay, here you go. Kill yourself. You got to wait 90 days. I'm sorry. But then bye. See ya. Doctor, I don't want to die, but I feel I don't have options. Oh, okay, then die. Just go die. Go kill yourself. But we're the good guys, right? We're the good guys. We're not like those bad guys. You know, it's amazing, the moral preening you hear from us in the West. Oh, okay, at least we're not like Putin. Putin's a bad guy. We're the good guy. At least we're not like Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping, he's the bad guy. We are slaughtering babies and telling the poor people to kill themselves rather than giving them alms. It's as evil as can be. And it's the logical conclusion of individualism, by the way. This is the other thing. This is why we're not immune to it. This is why even the right kind of goes along with this sometimes. Because yes, the end of leftism is suicide. We know that. We understand that is what leftism is about. It's just destroying everything, burning it all to the ground. But it's the end of individualism, true. There are a lot of people on the right who accept the very liberal premises of individualism, the idea that I own my body, that I'm answerable only to me. I can do whatever. I have a natural individual right to do whatever the hell I want, especially with my own body. You don't. That's not conservative. That has no basis in the proper Western tradition. That is an outgrowth of liberalism, and it's not true. It's not true. You don't choose to be born into this world. You shouldn't choose to come out of this world. You are not accountable only to yourself. You have obligations to your family, to your community, and ultimately to your God. Today, we will be discovering all sorts of new genders on TikTok I usually interview people on Tuesdays, but listen, today's all about Trump's announcement. We're going to be talking later on for that. So I figured we needed to mix it up a little bit, open our minds on these questions of gender. The rest of the show continues now. You don't want to miss it. If you're not a member, click the link in the description and join us.